Hello, everybody. Maria Di Pocha, your coach and consultant, coming to you today to go over some market numbers. I know, super exciting information, and yet we still have to dissect it. We have to study it, and we really have to learn and find out exactly what is it telling us. So the only bad thing about numbers that I don't like is that they don't always tell us where we're going. They usually tend to tell us where we've been. However, if you do this long enough and you really understand how to bend the numbers in your favor, if that's even a way that you can do that, then you can really start to understand how it kind of stacks on top of each other and exactly what the numbers are telling us and how we can share these with our clients to really better understand for them exactly what's going on in the market, if they should consider selling at the moment, or if they should consider waiting. And so, yes, I'm going to go over Richmond numbers. However, I want you to use this as a video where you can adopt this into your market no matter where you are. Of course, I live in Richmond, Virginia, so we are going to go over Richmond numbers. However, that does not mean that you can't use the same logic and apply the same way that I go through the numbers in your market, because I'm going to be using the MLS, so you have access to these numbers as well. Okay, so with no more further ado, let's jump in and let's look at these numbers. I am going to share my screen, and we are going to start with the numbers that I look at every single week. So every single week I go in and I pull exactly what's going on in the market. And then I tend to add a slide of a relevant conversation that's going on, whether it is interest rates, whether it is buying patterns, or whatever the case may be. And of course, I do this for our agents here at KW Richmond West. But again, this is something that you can do for yourself. And I think you would see great value from doing it. So let's go over the last 7 days just to kind of tell us where we are right now. And then we are going to look at last quarter, so Q1, because those numbers are out. So that will be January, February, and March. Okay, so last 7 days, as far as what's going on in the market in Richmond, Virginia, I just log into the MLS and everyone will find this box in their local MLS. So this is something that you actually can start tracking. And if you can see my screen, you'll see that all I do is I look at it every single week, right? And then I'm updating the number. So back in March, which is when I started doing this, our new listings on the market was 882. Well, just to give you some perspective, today when I pulled the numbers as of in the last 7 days, the new listings jumped up to 1,183 listings. In our MLS, that is actually quite a bit. In a busy spring market, we'll probably see about 1,300 new active listings in every given week. So that just kind of tells me, right? It starts telling me a story about where are we in the market, right? Obviously, we're in the middle of our spring market, maybe towards, I would say, the tail end to the middle of the spring market. Our spring market actually started quite early back, I would say in February is when we started seeing a lot of listings come on the market. Right now, in the last 7 days, we're at 1,183 listings, pending 1,187. Last week, we had 1,037 pending. Price decreases 618. Price decreases a week before was 489. And if we look at the week before that, we were at 510. And the week before that, we were at 514. So again, that is a tiny jump in price decreases, which tells me there is some inventory potentially sitting out there. The sellers are wanting to get under contract. Sold in the last 7 days, 918. That is up from 879 from the week before that. And it is up 988. It's not up. So I would say we're probably at the top of what we're going to see sell, around 900 to 1,000 listings per week. And then we kind of look at back on market. We see if there's anything going on over there. Expireds don't typically tend to hit our MLS until the first week of the month. So we're only at 44 expireds. So that doesn't tell me a story at all. Our average sales price currently is $450,000. Again, this is all on the MLS. Our month supply is 1.4. So we are definitely still in a seller's market in Richmond, Virginia. Now, that does not mean that every single thing you're going to put on the market is going to sell for as much as you want, right? That just means that per what is going on the MLS right now, if nothing was to hit the market starting today, our current inventory would only last 1.4 months. We are not in a seller's market until we are at 6 months worth of supply. As far as the average days on market, We're at 37 overall, 30 for the resale market. Showings per listings are 6.5, so it is trending down, and then showings to pending is at 10. Okay, I want to jump into this bottom information right here, but I'm going to go to a different slide because this does have a little bit more information. So we get this from our Richmond Association of Realtor every month. I'm sorry, every quarter. And that kind of tells me what we're looking at as far as the key indicators, average sales price, pending sales, sales, medium days on market, active listings. A lot of these numbers I already know because we look at this every single week. So it's just like not a surprise. However, sometimes I do see things that inspire a conversation or certain training with my coaching clients. So for example, overall in Q1, the Richmond Association of Realtors saw a negative 1.6 decline year over year in total sales for the Richmond Association of Realtor. However, when you go in and you go more granular on exactly what's happening, you'll see that Charles City County had like the numbers are so negligent, meaning like they're so small that you can't even like perceive that this is a number that is being factored into our math. And however it is, so we have to look at that. I wish they could just take Charles County out because a year ago we had 15 sales in Q1. Today in Q1 we had 3, right? So there's not much happening in Charles County right now, which is bumping us negative 80%. However, overall, when you look at the counties that are actually selling them bulk of real estate, you can maybe look at Chesterfield County and know that that's a real number. Goochland is up, Hanover's up, Enrico's up, New Kent is up, Powhatan, not enough. Like, yes, it's sitting at minus 16, but you're talking like what, 75 to 63 homes? Again, you really sometimes you have to look at these numbers, right? This minus 1.6, and you can immediately start telling yourself a story that sales are down. However, when you go in and you go micro, you'll see that really that's not what's happening. The majority of the conversation is up. Richmond is up 1.9, New Kent is up 4.4, Hanover's up 10.5, Goochland is up 32.4. So our sales are actually up even though they're showing down. And then pending sales, kind of the same conversation, not going to say it again, but you can look at some of these counties that are hitting us hard that I think if they could be excluded, they would not look the same way. The reason why this is important is because if you were to send to your clients some of this information without first studying it yourself, and they were to make a statement like, well, maybe right now is not the best time to sell because sales are down. No, sales are down in Charles City County. Sales are down in Powhatan or whatever. They're not down overall, right? And then when you look at average sales price, there are counties that are experiencing a bump in sales price, right? So overall, our sales price is up, which it is. Average sold to ask ratio, love this slide because this helps me price homes. So right now in Richmond Association of Realtor, 100.4 to sales price is what's coming up. So if a house is listed at 100,000, they're getting 104,000. Okay, just to give you an idea to make the numbers easier to understand. Medium days on market, super important. I think this is off, but let's just say that I have been seeing anywhere between 5 to 10 days on market in the numbers I'm looking at every week. So I think that that's very accurate. Active listings is up 18.4. Perfect. We need it. Months of supply is trending 1.8. So that just kind of tells me enough to understand the market and really how to talk to my clients about it. And also it tells me the pockets that I probably need to be focusing on as far as like counties and things like that. I really hope that you enjoyed this dissection of numbers is the best way that I can think and I can talk about it when it has to do with our MLS. And I encourage you to do the same with your local MLS and to really be the local expert when it comes to when people are asking you, how is the market doing? To have an intelligent conversation, you really need to be equipped with the knowledge and the numbers to be able to do so. If you found this video beneficial, I would definitely encourage you to like and subscribe. Maybe leave me a comment about specifically what you learned in this video. Would love to hear some insight. And I also would love to see if I can help you look at your MLS so that I can help you craft a message of what your numbers are saying. So if you would like to schedule a coaching appointment with me to do that, just go to mariadipoche.com, book some time with me, and we can get you started. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.